Everybody, hope you're well. Hope you're enjoying the summer. We got some beautiful days right now, so hope you're able to relax with some family, friends, enjoy the rest of the summer as we kind of fly through it already in August. July was a good month again as we rebound from those lows we saw earlier in the year. We had, of course, a dip through April, but market's been in rally mode for the last 3 months. And what does that mean going forward? Well, here's something to boost your confidence in the long term over the next 12 months. This is as we went through earnings, the quarterly earnings reports. Here's where corporations are looking out. So on the left, you're looking at the earnings expectations, where companies believe their earnings are going to be over the next 12 months. And on the right, the margins of those companies. So going through their earnings and picking through that, averaging them all out, you can see on the earnings per share side, that green line being $300 versus just 263 for last year's or the 2025 earnings outlook. And you can see where we're at right now. So at the 284 mark. So very positive. Corporations looking out, believing that the next 12 months are going to be positive. They're going to continue to grow, which means they are going to continue to invest, which helps the economy. Good outlook for the 12-month and on period for the markets. Having said that, in the short term, here's a bit of a chart on August. So August not always one of the strongest months. On average, usually slightly positive, but you can see in the first term, and this is what this data is pulling, first term and then the second term of a new president, what the markets do. You can see the average return in the first term just slightly negative, but it is generally positive on the number of times that August is positive. But in a second term, which is where we're at now, you can see the markets have actually never been positive in August, with the average return of negative 3.4%. Of course, small data set here. We're going back to the Eisenhower days, but you can see each of those second terms, August hasn't been positive. So it might be a little bit of a bumpy road here as we move through August, September, and into the fall, where, of course, markets are generally more positive as we move towards the end of the year. So just keep that in mind in the short term, but remember that long-term outlook is still looking positive. And if you need another reminder of time in the markets versus timing the markets, here's the returns. If you basically the power of compounding, the magic of compounding, as you see what happens if you put $10,000 into the S&P 500, the US markets, for 10 years, 20 years, 30, 40, and 50 years ago. So if you'd started 50 years ago with just that $10,000, 3.5, $3.6 million right now. So that's the magic of compounding. Of course, it's going up through the years, but you can see the difference that that extra 10 years from 40 years ago to 50 years ago makes. So that's one hint to get those younger in your lives to start investing and start putting some funds away, but also just a reminder that that compounding effect continues with the length of the time you are in the markets. And a couple of interesting charts I just wanted to share with you, just individually. Just saw these come across the desk. Right now, Nvidia rallying up. It did spike down earlier in the year when the markets dropped. It was down significantly, but now rallied back up to all-time highs. You can see it's 7.9% of the S&P 500. So of course, the S&P 500 being the 500 largest companies in the US, publicly traded companies in the US. Nvidia is now almost 8% of that, so surpassing Apple from last year at 7.6. So keep that in mind. Of course, we've talked before about how those large tech companies are a big portion of that S&P 500 on the weighting, but that's the largest we've seen now. Nvidia up at 7.9% of that S&P 500. And here's another one that I just found interesting. YouTube becoming the largest view time distributor right now, so passing Disney. So any other streaming service or anything you're viewing, YouTube is now surpassing that, which is amazing considering that the other ones, as you can see on that list, the Disneys, the Netflix, the Paramounts, have huge budgets to produce all of their videos, whereas YouTube, of course, a lot of people just individually making those, putting those on YouTube. The amount of viewing happening on YouTube, surpassing everybody else. Pretty amazing to see. So thought I'd share those of interest. But going back, remember, stay diversified. It might be a bit of a bumpy month as we move through August, but the outlook's still positive as we go through the rest of the year. So we'll be back with another video in a couple weeks. Until then, enjoy this sunshine, enjoy the summer, and take care.